I would like to call to order the Personnel Administration Committee for Thursday, July 13th, 2023. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Cone,
Present.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Here.
Alderman Aldridge,
Present.
President Green.
Present.
We have 4 present. You have a quorum.
Great. With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from Thursday, July 6th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Alderman Aldridge, President Green,
Aye.
Alderman Aldridge. We have 3 aye votes.
By your vote, you sustain the motion to approve the minutes from Thursday, July 6th, 2023. All right, first item of business is legislative assistance. So with that, I will make a motion that the entire meeting or portion of the meeting of the Personnel and Administration Committee may be closed to the public under provisions of section 610.0213 and 610.022 in order to permit the members of the committee to discuss matters related to the hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting of employees of the Board of Aldermen.
So moved.
Second.
Previous roll.
All right, if you would please place us in closed session.
Joe, are you there, STLTV?
Yes, I'm here.
We're ready to go into closed session.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I sent that little thing there. There it is. It
Okay.
should be there.
Thank you.
Lou, do you go in?
Are you going into closed session right now?
Yeah. Do you go
All
in
right,
with
I'm
me?
gonna leave.
Okay.
declined the position after all. And so I wanted to open it up to the committee as to whether we want to repost that position again, or what we want to do moving forward with the receptionist position. Alderman Coney, you're muted.
I would vote to repost it.
Me too.
Okay.
Rasheen put in the chat that he would be supportive of reposting it as well.
Okay, then, Madam Clerk, if we could please, I think when we repost the legislative researcher position on August 1st, let's also repost the receptionist position. 'Cause I think most of the people that we interviewed last time, we interviewed for both executive secretary and receptionist, and the top candidates, we offered executive secretary positions too. So we need some more folks to pull from.
So noted.
All right, item number 3, legislative researcher positions. So we did some work going through the legislative researcher job description and just cleaning it up a little bit before we repost it again. Let's see, I'm trying to find that in the drive right now. Or is Alderwoman, or is, sorry, I'm always going to call her Alderwoman. Is Christine Ingracia on at the moment?
No, I could go get her to get on real quick if you want.
Okay, I might ask her to get on and share her screen if she would.
Okay.
The updated job description.
Okay, let me just grab her real quick.
Yeah, where is it? I'm trying to find it here. No, that's not the right document. I'm not finding the correct document here, so we need to wait a second for her to get back on.
Christine is jumping on here shortly.
Okay, thank you. And I realized we should have done one more thing under item number 1 for discussion, but we can go back to that after this.
Okay, she should be jumping on any minute here.
Hello. Christine, would you be able to share your screen with the updated job description? And I think you're muted.
Yep, I
Thank
should be
you.
able to share my screen. Give me just 1 second. Is that showing up for you?
We can see the folder, but we can't see the actual document.
Which doc do you
There
need?
we go. Now we can see it. If you could make it a little bit bigger though, that might help for some of us who can't see as well.
Oh.
All right, that's better. All right, we did a little bit of cleanup with the legislative researcher job position after talking with our attorney for the board and clearing out sort of some redundancies. So we updated it to include duties and responsibilities to assist with research analysis, summarizing legislation, drafting and amending bills and resolutions, drafting policy briefs, being a liaison to governmental agencies and experts, attending committee hearings as needed to provide that kind of legal backup or documentation, required skills, asking that they have some kind of background in legislative or policy research, experience with legal research databases preferred. We are getting a Westlaw account that they will be able to access, ability to communicate verbally and in writing, that they know Microsoft Office and Google Drive, that they can work under pressure, effectively manage time, and for training experience that they have a bachelor's degree in political science, public policy, legal studies, a related field, or an equivalent combination of relevant education experience. Government experience is a plus. Is there any discussion around the job description and anything that you think should be added or subtracted from this before we go ahead and repost it on August 1st?
Looks good to me.
Yeah, I'm fine with it as well.
Is Alderman Aldrich still here? Not. All right, then I will entertain a motion to approve the legislative researcher job description.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Previous role. Alderman Aldridge is on and he said it looks good to him as well.
Okay, then that has been approved. So Madam Clerk, if we could please use this job description when posting for the next, I guess, round of legislative researchers that we're trying to hire.
So noted.
Great. And then I want to go back to discussion item 1 just for 1 minute. And if Christine, you could share the other form as well. So previously in this committee, we had discussed, needing to put some HR kind of procedures in place for the legislative assistants, and we had discussed or we had set out that this is a minimum 40-hour per week work, that 24 hours a week should be worked in City Hall, that you can work remotely from time to time, that they need to log in via the city's time card system. It's a non-civil service position, that they directly report to the alderperson.
It's exempt.
And okay, we can add exempt. And that all work must be city related. No campaign, political, or personal work for alder people can be done through this position. And so we wanted to, the thought was that when folks are hired, that it'll ultimately be part of a larger employee handbook that that we aim to have completed by the time we return in the fall. but we wanted to be clear with those expectations from the beginning for these positions, and just wanted to get feedback or thoughts on having, I think first that section, if Christine, if you could go back up, as just something that the LA and the alder person sign off on.
I mean, I can't speak to, all of my colleagues, but I addressed that with the candidates that I interviewed to make sure that that was the first thing I walked through with each of them, to make sure that they acknowledge those various aspects of the role. I think that that's good. In terms of it being part of the handbook, handbooks are generally for all employees and, have information that pertains to all of them versus specifically calling out a, individual role. So I don't know if this is just something that we need to, like an arrangement or an agreement that is, acknowledged by alderpersons and the liaisons, or legislative assistants when they, come on board. Sometimes that, is kind of more an appropriate course where you have, it's like a letter of acknowledgement. So when they start, they would sign this acknowledging that, and it could be done by both parties, so that, it's mutually agreed upon, that those are the expectations.
Right, and filed with the clerk after it's signed
Right.
off. So it may not be a part of an employee handbook, but it could be a part of an employee file,
Right.
that everybody is on the same page about the expectations for the job.
Yeah. And I maybe I misheard. I thought you said 20 hours in the office, but I thought what was communicated was at least 24 hours in City Hall.
It is written 24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there any further discussion on this piece? All right, Christine, if you want to scroll down to the next section. This is just basic, timekeeping, that all of this will have to go into the Okra time card system, but this is just basic, each week needing to be filled out by the supervising alder person, just so that we have some documentation of hours that are worked or time that is worked, especially if folks aren't always at City Hall all of the time.
President Green, can I interrupt for just one moment?
Yes, go right
This-
ahead.
This was, I think, a conversation we wanted to have about the fact that we were expecting legislative assistants to generally have the same 24 hours in the office, so that staff and the public knew when they would be available. So this is not necessarily the time card piece that's
Okay,
Oracle, but that this could change, but generally speaking, they would list the 24 hours that we would expect them to be here.
okay, which will help with a number of scheduling items within the board, not limited to workspace.
Yeah. It'll definitely help with the public's perception of it, because I'm already hearing about, especially with, well, yeah.
Okay. So we will
I
ask,
gotta
go ahead.
have any, and not saying that anybody will get disciplined, but like if they're not, I guess, showing up for all the person warning or reprimanded, they'll have to come in front of person, or we talk to the alder person about that. Just
It would ultimately have to come
Yeah.
up. Oh, sorry. I think you're breaking up.
no, probably so, but that was it. I think. Did you hear me? All the way?
I think I got the gist of it. I think what you were asking is if there is an issue of somebody not working the hours or or not coming in, how is that addressed? Ultimately, that will need to come back through the personnel committee to address any concerns. And I think as part of the larger employee handbook that we're working on, those that system will be developed over the coming months for what happens if there's performance issues or compliance issues, not just with legislative assistant positions, but across the board, and that we do have a complaint system in place as well if issues do arise.
I would like to have a formal system going forward, if I was gonna be a part of it, because I would hate for somebody to just be able to come on and make accusations or come on and just say something. And then we as a personnel, and then as a committee would be responsible for navigating that. And then as it relates to the legislative assistant position, I thought that was under the purview, the direct hiring and firing was under the alderperson. So why would they come before us if an alderperson just hypothetically said they were going to dismiss their legislative assistant? Well, why would they even have to come before us? I guess is what I'm asking, because we can't supersede them and say, no, you're gonna keep them, right?
Right.
So, I mean, my thought process was that we would have a progressive disciplinary process. So there would be, a warning of some sort, like a verbal warning provided to the employee, and then, some sort of documented warning that would be available to the employee, so that there's some sort of documentation indicating what the concerns are of the alderperson. And then, as that escalates, it would lead to, further disciplinary action up to and possibly including termination. And then if they're not, heeding those warnings, then the alderperson would recommend termination, and that would come before this committee. And, we would essentially like validate whether or not the alderperson, has done their due diligence, not corroborating, whether or not it's right or wrong, but just making sure that they've done their due diligence and documenting those concerns before moving forward with termination.
Yeah, and that's the way that I'm seeing it too, so that there's a standardized process.
That's for regular employees though, not for the legislative assistant.
I think for legislative assistants too, I think we have to have a uniform system for hiring and firing folks, because our understanding of the advisement we got from the city councilor is that the board as a whole has hiring and firing authority, but board members as individuals do not have individual hiring and firing authority, which is why we're having to go through the process right now of taking in people's recommendations, approving them as the committee, sending them to the full board, is really just to check those boxes. But I think if we set up a standardized system for, disciplinary action, then it's easier for this committee to say, okay, all of these things happen, here's the documentation, and can make that case for terminating somebody, so it's not just subjective, that there's kind of some HR practices that go along with it.
Understood.
Okay, any other questions? Christine, would you scroll down to the kind of remaining section? So then the last piece is around secondary employment and kind of conflicts of interest. Just asking that LAs approve through their supervising alderperson if they're working additional employment, or at least disclosing that additional employment. So if there is some kind of conflict, that we can address that conflict. So it's much of the same form that us as alder people have to fill out to disclose our conflicts if we have additional work that we're doing. Things like that, asking the LAs to fill that out as well.
I think that that's appropriate.
And then they would just sign so that we have a record. Are there any questions about that? All right, then I would entertain a motion to approve the legislative assistant employee agreement form.
So move. Second, previous row.
All right, that is passed. I think that is it for those. Christine, thank you. All right, let's go to the last item. All right, the last agenda item is discussing, trying to get it up here, it closed on me. Is discussing the technology, facilities upgrade in the Kennedy room and the Board of Aldermen chambers. Let me get that document open. So let me share my screen here. We are, as a result of some of the upgrades that the technology upgrades that we are doing for the Kennedy room and the Board of Aldermen chambers, we have found that there's some additional electrical work that needs to be completed alongside those technology upgrades. So we got a bid from RJP Electric that is asking for $30,950 to basically update a number of the electrical systems throughout both the board chambers and the Kennedy room so that we can proceed with the technology upgrades. Are there any questions about that? Seeing none, then I would entertain a motion to approve $30,950 for electrical work in the Kennedy room and the chambers.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second. Alderman Cone, Alderman Alton.
Previous row.
Did one of them second it?
Yes, Alderman Cone, second.
Okay, I didn't hear him. All right, in previous roll, the motion is approved. All right, with that, is there any other items for discussion for members of the committee today? Seeing none, all members are present. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much.